How to protect and keep your audio drama podcast legal. Deals for your crew in this edition of Legit Podcast Pro. Welcome to another episode of Legit Podcast Pro, where I share tips, strategies, and information to help creative folks like you make your content, have your impact, and achieve influence without fear or worry about the legal stuff. I'm your host, Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer, and this week we're continuing our series of episodes about how to protect and keep your audio drama or narrative fiction or other scripted kind of podcast legal. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about the crew of people who work on your show. Now, maybe that's all one person, you or someone like you, wearing all of the hats, but more likely, you've got multiple people all contributing their creative effort, their work product to the production. And so that's who today we will be talking about. Your crew. Now, you might have some or all of these kind of folks working on your podcast. You might have producers and co-producer types, engineers, editors, sound designers, sound mixers, sound effects editors and creators, lighting designers and camera if you're doing video, grip people who are just handling setup and moving things around and all that. There might be a script supervisor, you might have production assistants, and you might have others as well in this. And all of these people need to be under contract, a written contract that outlines their job duties, their compensation, and it clearly indicates that the company and the podcaster owns all of the output, all of the work that they do. And over at podcastlawforms.com, we've got a template for a basic crew deal memo that can be used with many of these kinds of folks. But before I forget, I just want to invite you to my free workshop, Business and Legal Fundamentals for Podcast Growth and Profit. I only do this workshop a few times each year, and you don't want to miss it if you are serious about podcasting and about doing your podcasting the smart, safe, profitable way. So join me for the next workshop coming up very, very soon. So register now at event.podcastlawforms.net. So, as I said, we've got this template over at podcastlawforms.com, and I thought I'd just sort of show it to you and walk you through what it does. So here is sort of a basic crew deal memo. You can see it's something you complete for each person depending on the work that they will be doing. Now, this is not for your writer or your actors or maybe your audio director if you're using someone in that role, or your composer who's doing music for you. All of those folks, they need a more specialized deal, but you will want to use a form like this one for everybody else. So let me just walk you through it a little bit here. So right here up at the top, you can see we're, entering the information about who the producer of the show is and what the title is and so on. And assuming these people are not a member of a union, we have their name, the position that they hold. You need obviously their contact information. There may not be departments in your business, but that's something you can do. When they're expected to start work, and how to reach them and those kinds of things. If they have a loan out company, which is pretty uncommon in the podcasting space, you would put the name of the company in there as well and that. But basically, and you set forth how are they getting paid. Now, you could replace these lines here with a description of a back-end deal or a deferred compensation structure or something like that, or you could add that in as an add-on at the end of the document. I'll show you. But it specifies here, this is like a day rate deal. So you're guaranteeing people, a minimum of a day or of a week or something like that. And it's an at-will employment relationship between the producer and that crew member, whatever role they're doing. Again, overtime, depending on the state, you may have overtime law requirements and things like that. If you're doing something other than a straight ahead compensation deal outside California, you might be able to just get rid of this kind of paragraph and the discussions of overtime. And credit. If you're going to give credit, you would specify what that credit would look like in this section here. And you can see the important thing is that the rights language is in here. And let me just find that rights language here. It's paragraph number 17. You can see it says that the company will be the sole owner of all of the results and proceeds of all of the services under the deal. The company will be the copyright owner of the material, and it's all work for hire belonging to the employer, the company. And it addresses that issue of if you're working with loan out companies, which won't apply in most instances here. It also specifies some of the basic employment rules about no sexual harassment will be allowed, and use of alcohol and drugs isn't allowed. You want to have grounds to terminate people who are causing problems, so that would go there. They are not to bring any of their own audiovisual equipment into the production setting, because you want to keep tight control over anything getting out until you are ready to release it. And they have to agree to abide by your standard policies and procedures and those kinds of things, and that they are free to enter into the agreement. And there you go. So it's sort of a lengthy bunch of boilerplate, as you can see, but there's a lot there to cover. And then under the special provisions here is where you could put in that back-end compensation structure or deferred payments or other kind of perks or benefits they might get. And if you run out of space, you could always attach an additional page. But that's your basic crew deal memo agreement. And you just want to make sure you're covering all of your bases as much as possible. This episode is brought to you by Easy Legal Forms and Templates for Podcasters. If you're a legit podcast pro, you want to protect your intellectual property and ensure that content is used appropriately. Easy Legal Forms and Templates for Podcasters can help. Our form store at podcastlawforms.com provides a variety of legal forms and templates specifically for podcasters, including host and co-host agreements, DMCA takedown notices, release forms, and much more. With these easy downloadable templates, you can customize the forms you need in just minutes. Plus, our affordable bundle and a la carte pricing makes it easy to get the protection you need without breaking the bank. Visit podcastlawforms.com today. Easy, legal, affordable forms and templates for podcasters. Podcastlawforms.com. So that's basically it for the crew deal memo. The point of it is really that I'm wanting to hit home with is that every single person who works on your podcast, who touches your content, needs to sign a contract. And that contract needs to specify that you, not they, own the results and proceeds of the work that they do. Whether they're an employee or as an independent contractor, you got to have something in writing that makes it very clear the nature of the relationship, what's expected, and all of that. So use a crew deal memo, get it over at podcastlawforms.com. That's where we host those kinds of things. Now, if you are interested in knowing a little more about the music side of things, well, stick around. Next episode, I will be talking about the contracts you need with your composer or for licensing music to use in your show and some of the kind of high points that you'll want to watch out for there. And once again, I'll just say, don't forget to register for my free virtual workshop, Business and Legal Fundamentals for Podcast Growth and Profit. It's coming up very, very soon. So visit event.podcastlaw.net right now. And that's it for this episode. I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer, and I'll be back to you again soon. We'll be talking about that composer deal and the music-related contracts and things like that. And that'll be it. I'll see you again really soon. Thanks for being with me. Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer for Legit Podcast Pro. See you soon.